Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for November 15th. November 15th is the 319th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 320th in leap years, with 46 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is perspective. Perspective can be a noun or an adjective. As a noun, perspective can mean a mental view or a prospect, such as gaining a broader perspective on a situation. Perspective can refer to a visible scene, especially one giving a distinct impression of distance. In visual art, for example, perspective in a painting will render things nearer the viewer to appear larger, with sharper focus and more distinct colors, whereas things farther away will appear smaller, more indistinct in focus, and with more muted coloring. The phenomenon of a vanishing point may be evident. Perspective can refer to the interrelation in which a subject or its parts are mentally viewed, such as placing issues in proper perspective. Perspective can refer to point of view. Perspective can refer to the capacity to view things in their true relation or relative importance, such as trying to maintain one's perspective. You might encounter the term perspective as the name of a telescope lens, but that use is not seen very often these days. As an adjective, perspective can mean of or relating to or seen in perspective, such as a perspective drawing. This word comes to us through Middle French and Middle English, and Latin before that. First documented use of the word perspective is in the 1300s. Perspective. And if you have a word you'd like us to examine in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments, and we'll take a look at it. And with that, this is the birthday of German-born English astronomer and composer William Herschel, born November 15, 1738. He published catalogs of nebulae and discovered the planet Uranus. I've observed that brilliant people often have more than one field of interest, and William Herschel certainly did. In addition to watching the skies and keeping careful records, he also composed music and played several different instruments. He composed symphonies, sonatas, things like that. If you're an astronomer by occupation or hobby, you've probably encountered his name, Herschel, in reference to astronomical matters, such things as a crater on the moon. There's a crater on the moon named after him, and an impact basin on Mars, the Herschel Gap in Saturn's rings. And he even had an asteroid named after him. William Herschel lived to the age of 83. This is the birthday of British singer, songwriter, and actress Petula Clark, born November 15, 1932. She began performing as a child, allowing her to have one of the longest careers, over 8 decades, of any British performer. Most of us will have heard of Petula Clark because of her pop hits from the 1960s, like Downtown, My Love, and Don't Sleep in the Subway, to name a few. Her popularity earned her the nickname, the First Lady of the British Invasion, and as I say that, it occurs to me that some of my younger viewers might not know exactly what that means. You see, in the 1960s, there were quite a number of British music groups and artists who became wildly popular in the United States, and the cultural phenomenon and its wave of influence came to be called the British Invasion. They're household names now, but at the time, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, the Zombies, Dave Clark 5, and my goodness, that list just goes on and on. They were indeed quite a phenomenon. Petula Clark was also part of that British influence on American pop culture that came to be called the British Invasion. So that's what that's about. And today is her birthday. Can you believe it? Petula Clark turns 91 in 2023. Happy birthday, Miss Clark. Now, last month we talked about the day that the human population of Earth was estimated to have reached 7 billion, which occurred in October of 2011. Of course, it's impossible to know just exactly which baby marks the rollover to the next billion, but there are several organizations following this, and a baby girl in Manila was selected as the symbolic 8 billionth baby born on November 15, 2022, the day of 8 billion. And of course, we're going to talk about a Petula Clark song today. Downtown is her signature song, and it certainly was a hit at #1, but what popped into my mind when I saw her name on today's birthday list was a song called Sign of the Times. Written by Tony Hatch and Jackie Trent, Ms. Clark introduced Sign of the Times on The Ed Sullivan Show in February of 1966. The record was released the following month, in March of 1966, and it quickly became a top 20 hit for her. The title might lead one to think that this is possibly a song with political undertones, but no, it's just a delightful, happy love song. Sign of the Times by Petula Clark. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. Okay. Cacophony is a sound. Cacophony is a noun that... I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Alrighty. You got to read it the right way. Let's start over. It's 8 o'clock, so all of the reminders are going to be dinging. I forgot to turn those off. Okay, stop it. It's 8 o'clock. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.